Grenadian soursop has become a profitable export commodity with a market value of US $2.6 million, primarily sold to the United States. The fruit is vital for agricultural diversity and rural livelihoods, especially among small farmers. Grenada enjoys exclusive access to the U.S. market, benefiting from the absence of pests like the fruit borer and soursop seed borer. However, the industry faces risks due to an underdeveloped surveillance and traceability system. If pests are detected, exports could be banned, threatening the industry. The Food and Agriculture Organization, in collaboration with CAPHSA, has been in Grenada on a scoping mission, visiting soursop fields, speaking with farmers, exporters, and the Ministry of Agriculture to understand the needs of strengthening and improving the surveillance systems, the diagnostic services, and the emergency response and action plan under the Enhancing Sanitary and Phytosanitary Measures Capacity and Market Access for Grenadian Soursop Export Project. Plant Production and Protection Officer with the Food and Agriculture Organization, Melvin Medina Navarro, who is also the lead technical officer for the project on soursop, speaks of the importance to raise awareness on maintaining SPS standards.
Everyone needs to understand that strengthening the surveillance, diagnostic and action and emergency response will keep Grenada free of the two main pests that if we find them here, the exports to the United States are going to stop, and then many farmers are going to be affected negatively. So I think that is really important to understand, because soursop is a lot of farmers and families that are dependent on that crop, and we need to be better prepared in case one of those two main pests appears in the country.
His recommendations going forward are intense surveillance, proper identification measures, and rapid emergency responses.
That means that staff from the Ministry of Agriculture should go and visit many farms as possible to collect the fruits of the soursop as a sample, and then process it, open it, and look for the two main pests. But this has to be done systematically, right? Not once in a month. It has to be constantly done. So that's the first thing. Second, we need to make sure that the technicians, they know how to identify those two main pests. Okay, so there are equipment. Probably we need to improve the equipment, but the more important is that they should know how these two pests look like. And last one is to really establish an emergency response system. That means that every different actor should know what to do in case one of these pests appears. Okay? So the role of every single stakeholder should be very well defined, and they should know exactly what to do.
The project aims to implement sanitary and phytosanitary measures to safeguard the industry, improve export capabilities, and ensure sustainability for around 2,600 farmers. Key objectives include developing a surveillance program, strengthening government capacities, creating traceability systems, and training farmers in good agricultural practices and pest management. Acting Pest Management Officer is Francis Noel.
At the end of the day, whatever conclusions we come up with for the program will be in the best interest and betterment for everybody, to ensure that we continue to access the US markets and look to open up some other markets as well too. Because long ago, we are the only ones that could export fresh produce to the US, but now Mexico has given a green light. But this also has to be irradiated, as pointed out by one of our exporters. Okay, so these are things that we need to be on top of, because if we have any pest incursion or any outbreak of any quarantine pest, which is basically the seed weevil and the moth, then our fruits also have to be irradiated as well too. And this is another cost that will go into the final product.
Thaddeus Peters, Chief Agricultural Officer and focal point for the Soursop SPS project, underscored the importance for stakeholders to recognize that the standards required for exporting to the U.S. must not only be maintained, but also continuously improved.
Grenada has been exporting fresh soursop to the U.S. We had gotten that clearance in 2004. Before that, we were not allowed to export fresh soursop. And after that clearance was given, Grenada remained the only country to do so. Now, other players from Central America and Mexico would have recently started. They have gotten clearance to export soursop, but it has to be treated or irradiated before it gets to the US. So still the competition is beginning to come in. And in trade on agricultural produce, there's lots of regulations and standards to upkeep, especially when it comes to pest and disease and even pesticide use and so on. So a monitoring system for various pests, and critical for us are those two quarantine pests, because a number of countries in the region and Central America, they produce large quantities of soursop, but they are not allowed to trade in it to the US market because of the presence of a fruit borer and a seed borer that damages the fruit. So we don't have the pest, so we are able to pick, pack and ship. But we didn't get that clearance of the bat. We had to do an entire island-wide survey that took us 2 to 3 years to complete back in between 1999 and 2001. We did that survey, and because of the data we collected, proving that those pests are not present in Grenada, we were given the clearance. But you cannot just do the survey once and remain, because trade continues. Things are imported. We do have a quarantine system, but things can get through and come in. So the survey has to be continuous. The data has to be continuous, and we have to look at ways of always being in line with those situations. So we can report, we can prove that yes, we do not have the pest, and that we can continue to export fresh soursop.
He said this is important in ensuring that there is strong stakeholder involvement in the process.
We have done these surveys. It has been general or sort of informal. Now we want to do it more structured. We'll want to do it having more stakeholders engaged. So the technical officers at the ministry would have been involved, yes, in looking for signs, here and there. But now we need to do it so that other stakeholders are involved, because all eyes out there is better than just a handful of persons doing surveys. So the exporters, the processors, the person who involved in the trading soursop will be aware. Other regulators, at ports of entry, involved in inspection processes, should also be aware. So, and know the signs, the symptoms, and if they see anything out of the way, they can also inform the Ministry of Agriculture.
The Soursop SPS project, which is in its second year, aligns with Grenada's National Sustainable Development Plan, builds on previous FAO initiatives, and focuses on maintaining and expanding market access. It will support the livelihoods of farmers, exporters, and processors. FAO consultant on the project, Daniel Lewis, speaks on the vastness of the initiative.
The degree to which pests and disease could be controlled effectively on a plot of land and farms it has to do with the extent to which best practices are adopted. So the demonstration plots essentially will, where you do everything, your fertilizer management, your adherence to good cultural practices. That if that is done, and you clearly see, to my mind, less challenges with respect to disease and pests, damage on the farm. And so we're hoping that you would have at least 4 of those such demonstration plots. In addition to that, the project intends also to provide some guidance to farmers in terms of adaptation of best agricultural practices. And so consultants come on board and work closely with farmers to ensure that best practices could be done on the farm. Because part of the reason why farmers have a lot of problem on the farm is because, you know, you're departing from the practicing of good cultural practices. And so we expect that, you know, in time, the project at the end of the day expect that, you know, you have better system of surveillance and detection of pests, better system of management, better system of adopting, you know, good agricultural practices. So from my perspective, I think the project would bring enormous benefit, because one of the things we want to do is to ensure that in 10 years from now, Grenada would still have that special status in terms of exporting fresh soursop to the United States. So far, farmers have done fairly well, but we still believe there's a lot of room for improvement with respect to, you know, the soursop value chain development.
This project is in line with international SPS standards and aims to secure the future of the soursop industry, ensuring continued market access and potential for diversification into new markets. Karima Lewis, Public Relations Officer with the Ministry of Agriculture.